All right, hello everyone. It's Ronnie Litzer. I'm excited to introduce our new speaker here to the Ross Alumni Tech and Innovation Group online conference call. So the speaker today is Shlomi Kot. And a little bit about Shlomi. Shlomi is, I would say, a world-renowned expert in RPA. He worked at Ernst & Young for over 20 years. He led the advisory practice at Ernst & Young Israel, specializes in IT advisory, IT risk, and business improvement. Shlomi led several teams and managed a department of 60 advisors. He specialized in information technology, implemented RPA, and improved business processes to significantly cut operational costs, and built an IT project management methodology to govern huge IT projects. Shlomi holds a CPA, MBA, and many other certifications. But I guess without further ado, I'd like to introduce Shlomi and have him take it from here.
Hi, thank you, Ron. Thank you all for having me today with you. When Ron asked me to talk about RPA, he didn't tell me that it will be a Zoom webinar. So I hope that technology will work for me. Just for a short introduction, as Ron said, I'm CPA. I have 25 years of IT and advisory experience. In 1999, I sold my first IT company. It was a year after I joined EY. I'm working 21 years. I worked at EY Advisory. I left at the beginning of this year to open my new company. And 3 years I led RPA and other technology projects in Israel. I will stop the video so you can see. I don't know if you see it's good, but I hope that you can see it better now. Just a minute. And just to jump right into what is RPA. So I heard that some of you said that they are interested in RPA, and some of them say that they know what is RPA. So just how many of you familiar with RPA? I don't know if there is a poll in this Zoom webinar.
I'm familiar with it. I've implemented it in a few places, mostly UiPath.
Great. Others?
Cisco, we're, in our venture capital, we see deal flow, but not an area that I know. So I'm a bit of a rookie, other than seeing a bunch of deals that we passed on because don't understand it, so therefore can't invest in it. So this will be very helpful.
Okay, so let's try to go a little bit earlier. And if we are talking about, and I try to speak about 20 years of management consulting in 20 seconds. It will take more than 20 seconds. It might take 2 minutes, but in the last 20 years, from my experience, and I'm sure that the majority of you will agree with me, this is how we try to improve our client business. I heard it yesterday in a conference as well. Usually, we start with analyzing processes, looking for bottlenecks, possibilities for improvement, and building a plan. We looked at the 3 elements and tried to improve business by playing with either people, process, or technology. Usually, technology was the most expensive and took a lot of time. However, when you change technology, usually you change all the other processes. But today, the things are different. In the last few years, we've been seeing a dramatic change. And today, the graph looks like this. I know that some of you are thinking, no change can occur in one element without changing the other 2. But the explanation for this has to do with the fact that today, when we are talking about the technology elements, we are not talking about old school technology or IT solution, but about few technologies that called Industry 4.0. I will focus on RPA, but we can talk, and there is a time for question at the end. We can talk about all of these other technologies, which some of them or most of them I worked with in EY. However, today I'm focusing only in 3 or 4 of them. But anyway, each one of them can change dramatically the processes without changing policies and procedures, without changing the IT technology in the company, or without changing the people. Which means that if we take one part of these solutions, we can change dramatically and improve the processes. I think that the most mature technology is the RPA. However, each one of them is in different maturity. So let's zoom and understand what is RPA for some of you who don't familiar with this technology. If you are talking about, and I'm talking about the industry from what we call 2.0 to 3.0, the most popular example is from the world of manufacturing. This is how factory looks like 50 years ago. If you are trying to understand how factory looks today, it looks like this on the right side. The robot, physical one, replaced the people. What happened is that physical robot replaced human workforce when needed to do a repeatable work. The robot, something jump, I hope that everyone can see me. Great.
Yes.
So the robot could do it without rest and more accurate. This concept where machine replaced human workforce in the factory is now relevant in workforce in every office, changing them from looking like this to look like this. Okay, not exactly like this. You will not see this kind of robots in companies. However, you might see a technological, I could say, technological code that will sit behind the keyboard and will replace the things that human can do. Now, after we understand what is Office 4.0, let's try to understand what is robot. Now that we understand what is a robot, and I think that we understand, unless you want to ask, if someone wants to ask a question about robots, let's do a 2 minutes break, and then we can go to few examples.
All good.
One quick question. Who, I mean, because we did have bots in Microsoft when I was there, and some of them were handling complex troubleshooting issues. I would like to understand who will be providing those robots for the companies, like in the office, from your perspective.
As I learned in Israel, and I believe that it's all around the world, it's a very good question because we have a slide for it. Anyway, in quick answer, usually it will be in small companies and in the first robots. Usually it will be an expert or a company that implements robots, but in big companies or in even medium companies that will have 40 to 50 or maybe more processes that will implement in robots. And at the end of the day, there will be a department, or we call it Center of Excellence, that will build and maintain these robots.
Okay, thank you very much.
So let's go to an example. An insurance company in Israel, it's the second largest insurance company in Israel, established in 1949. It works in life, health, non-life, investment, and pension. The market value is $1.5 billion. It's a big Israeli insurance company. The revenue are $3.1 billion. and the number of employees are something about 3,000 direct employees, and they also have a few hundreds of non-direct employees. So the business case, the top management approached me. I worked, as I said, in a Big Four company, and when I sat with the executives of this company, the main concern were the company is a big one, but they want to increase profitability. They thought of how to reduce cost, and a few years ago, we might try the traditional way, changing business processes, changing the IT, and insurance has a lot of systems. Some of you who maybe work in the insurance area know that every insurance company will hold dozens of systems. I wouldn't say hundreds, but some of them are getting to hundreds, of course, if you have a lot of business lines. But anyway, they have a lot of systems. The legacy ones are usually old. And I offer them to consider the RPA method. It was very innovative in Israel back days. I'm talking about a few years ago. And the market of RPA as we know it today has already started just, I would say, 3 years ago. I'm not talking about the old method of building some codes that will connect a system, but the RPA that know how to connect every system and is more configurable and more sophisticated. So I offer them to consider the RPA method. Also, it is an insurance and conservative. We decide to do a pilot. The pilot that we did is the claim processing for car accident. I can tell you about this process and how it's done, and sorry that the main process will be in Hebrew, but I wrote every relevant thing in English, but just to give you the understanding, the process was of 10 people that work in order to close the claim. The average time from the time that the company got all the documents was about 11 days. Now they have 4 people, and now when they get the last document, within 10 minutes, the client get approval that his claim was approved, which means that if, let's say, you got out from the garage, you send the invoice to the company after all the other processes was approved, and you paid, and then you have to wait 11 days or 14 days or 30 days that your claim will approve and you will get the money. As of today, you send the invoice by your application, you photocopy it, you send it through the application, it's get into the system, and in 10 minutes or by the time you go to the next slide, you get approval that your claim was approved. By the end of the month, you will get a wire in the same day, which means that you go out of the garage and the same day you will get your money. It's not so complex, and it's not and we are not taking any other risk, because some of them might say, okay, you don't do some of the checks that you're usually doing, because if it takes 11 days, then you are doing a lot of other controls in this process. I can assure you, and I'm a CPA, no control will delete it from this process. Another example, the underwriting. Underwriting for green track, I can tell you that a recent survey that I read said that one of the jobs that will be lost in the next 5 years will be underwriters. And no doubt that I agree with this. I can tell you that in this process, we started with 24 people on the and we eliminate all the green track and do it with 10 people. I can tell you that I believe that in no more than 2 years, the robots will be more sophisticated, and we will also decrease the amount of the people in the department to no more than 1 or 2. What is nice in this process is not that we decreased the amount of people, but the process is more accurate. When we check how underwriters approve this kind of risks, so let's go to a health underwriting. Usually the green track is checking one of the things that it's checking is the BMI, okay? It's the ratio between your weight and your height. So anyway, if the ratio is, if the BMI is more than 24, then it moves to the underwriter. The underwriter, he check a lot of things, and then he might approve or not. We would say that every one of them has using the same procedure that the company has decided to give the same risk. Anyway, when we check, we understand that not all of them following the same procedures. Now, when we have robot, it's the same procedure. So from the company point of view, the risk is the risk that the company would like to take, which means that if the company wants to say, we will take people under the age of 30 with BMI of 27, then in one click, all the company will know it. It's not that we will have to train all the 24 people. We just did it once, and the robots do it for everyone. The last example that I will give you in the same company is pension mobility. In Israel, there was a change in the regulation that every person can move his pension from one company to another, and the company has to approve the transfer in no more than 7 days. Before the regulation, the department has 6 people that work in this, and they missed out with 70%. When I said missed out, it means that they didn't check the request, and they didn't try to preserve the people in the same company because they didn't have the time. Just all the paperwork that they had to do took them all the 7 days, and they have to move it to another company. So in order to be in 100%, which means to close everything, they had to work with 20 people, and this was when the old regulation approved them to do it within a month, which means 30 days. When they move to 7 days, they understand that they will not do anything and will not reserve any one of them. We build robots for this issue, which the robots check about the person that want to leave. About the person that wanted to leave. He check if we want to preserve it, and then he move to the people that work over there, just the right person that we want to preserve in the company. Now they have 6 people, the same 6 people, and they finish all the pension mobility at time. So what the company got from this process, and we are just in the beginning of the journey. It's a company that, as I said, we started the proof of concept about the project decided a few years ago, 3 years ago. It started about 2 years ago. Now they have about 20 robots. But in the first 4 months of the project, they've been implemented 5 robots. The RPA had compiled to the company strategy. Their planning is to reduce the cost within $25 to $30 million a year just by implementing robots, not changing in the IT system, not changing in policies and procedures, just to implement robot. They will replace worker. They are planning to implement 70 to 100 robots. As of today, as I said, they have less than 20 robots, but they have the path and they build it. And the RPA development project, and I'm talking about Israeli cost, is about $1.8 to $2.5 million. for the development, and the ongoing maintenance usually in this process is 20%, which means that 500K, let's say in 5-6 years when the project will be finished, 100 people, which will replace about 100 robots that will replace 400 to 500 people, the cost of the maintenance will be 500K approximately. So the opportunity for you. The ROI usually, according to McKinsey, is about 30 to 200% in the first year alone. This is what McKinsey say about this. I can tell you that the RPA market, just to give you an understanding, and if you are talking today, the market has started in 2016. It was about $600 million. In this year, it is about $2.5 billion, and by 2022, it's approximately be 4.3 billion. A recent survey that was released, and I can send you it later, by McKinsey also, said that RPA is the most growing technology in enterprises, more than every other technology in 2019. And if we are thinking that it's just a process until 2022, I can show you the next slide.
Hey, Shlomi?
They talk just about United States, which is most relevant for most of you, I believe, that say that RPA is here to stay. This is what it will be today, but we see that it will grow up to 2025 at least. And I think it maybe will not be the same RPA that we are talking today. I believe that it will change from RPA to IPA, intelligent process automation, and it will implement also machine learning to the robotic process automation and other technologies. But let's say it will be in the field of the RPA. Why in US it's, or I will ask, why do you think that in US this is the growth?
Hey, Shlomi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I apologize for the super dumb question, but I'm having trouble understanding or differentiating between kind of like the third chart you showed with all the other acronyms, right, of AI, machine learning, RPA, in just general confusion in my brain as to what's the difference. And it's all the same, different side of the same coin, or this is completely different than the other technologies that we're seeing?
Every technology, if we are talking about the slide with the Industry 4.0 technologies.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Each technology is playing different role. Let's say if you are talking about RPA usually, as of now, it will change in 1 year, 2 years or so. But as of now, RPA is mainly focused on rule-based processes. Whereas machine learning, usually it's not working according to rule-based processes, but trying to analyze the data, learn from this, and then build the rules for itself.
Okay.
AI is more sophisticated, that also try to use other technique to understand what it should be and how
Gotcha.
it would act according to these processes.
Yeah. So at its most rudimentary level, I have rules set up in my Outlook. So when emails come in, it process it accordingly. So in a way, I'm already doing RPA at its most basic form.
I wouldn't say that it's RPA. It's not, let's say on every cell phone today, you have a solution that it's like a small RPA that's called the ITTT, which is which means that if I get an email from one person, then I would like to send a messenger to another. If someone will, if something will jump on the Facebook, then I would like to share it on the other. And it's a simple application. You can use it on your mobile. It's called, as I said, ITTT, and you can do set of 2, 3, 4 tasks according to one task. It's very small. I think that the beauty in RPA is that you can build a set of tasks. Let's say a small RPA process usually we will do 20 to 30 tasks. As I said earlier, the claim did more than 100 tasks, and we also have some processes that use about 300 to 400 tasks. It's a very huge one. I will not recommend it to small companies or not in the first processes, but usually this is the things that, that robots will do. They will understand how to do if-then rules and other things, and not just to follow one flow, one process.
So, hi, this is Derek Martin. Cisco, what's helped me to describe it is RPA is really good when you know the rules, and there are very few exceptions. These are mature processes. Everything is straightforward enough. Very few things would break it if it came in with an exception, right? Whereas machine learning is for more open-ended problems where there are too many outcomes to really be able to program it. So you need some form of learning to be able to overcome those obstacles if you have enough data to feed that process. So RPA is super good for mature processes where a high volume and defined rule sets that you can program.
I would agree.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
In 95%, I would agree. I think that in RPA, you can also, and the tools that you have today, and you said that you're familiar with UiPath. UiPath has the discovery. They just share it. I'm working with 3 tools, or my company is dealing with UiPath, Automation Anywhere, and Cryon, which is an Israeli, for small, medium, it's a great solution. I find it as a great solution. That also have the discovery, and this discovery, you can put agents on the client side that they can learn the processes as well. But let's say in general, I agree. RPA is mainly focused for the repetitive process.
And then if you add ML and other things to it, it becomes a superpower for sure. It's a building block in a way.
No doubt. I totally agree with you. I think that the technology, as of today, we have to implement machine learning tools to the RPA. I believe that by the end of 2021, most, or at least some of the RPA tools will have these agents inside them. You will not have to integrate the RPA solution to another machine learning engine.
And then from a development standpoint, is this just using standard languages like Ruby, Python, and stuff like that, or is it a different platform?
Let's say that it depends. Some tools are very easy to understand, and some of them are for developers. It's let's say the tools that are mainly work for the developers, sometimes they are more sophisticated. However, in every tool, you can use it without a deep understanding of coding. It's called, some of them say, zero coding, which I can agree with this, which means that you can build your own robot also if you are not a developer. However, in order to go to a complex processes, then you will have to use developers.
Because, I mean, the guys on my team, they use scripts, right? All over the place. It's like probably too much. This is just a fancy script, right? That automates a lot of manual processes.
The difference between script and RPA is script usually it's something that it's very hard to manage it. It's very hard to run points and to get understanding where it's stuck, how it's stuck, and things like this. The RPA tools usually have this orchestration and understanding. You can run the scripts every day, every night. You can run 5, 6, 7, 10 machines on kind of one script. I wouldn't call it scripts, but as you said, script, you can run 7 machines on one script, and you can say these scripts are working only at 8 o'clock in the morning, and these scripts work only at the night. So let's say 20 years ago, as I said, I built scripts, but I think that this technology is much, much more sophisticated and easy to handle.
I'm getting there, man. Keep going. Maybe by the end, I'll understand.
So the question for the companies, and it's mainly for at least medium and enterprise company, is do they have a choice? So a recent survey that did by Ultima, it's a British company, that found that 57% of UK SME feel that they will be driven out of business as big business increasingly adopting RPA. I can tell you that in Israel, we saw the same things. Usually, in order to, and lots of companies thought that it will be a huge investment. So the big companies that have better solution usually invested more, and they increased the gap from the small medium company. And this is why what this survey is saying. And I think it's all, and if you are trying to understand what is the best time, I think it's all a matter of timing. I think that as of today, the lack of RPA specialists in the US markets leads to a lack of resource. I think that, and I have friends in US, everyone who know how to spell RPA, which is not so complicated, it's just 3 letters, but everyone who know how to pronounce RPA is immediately have a work. There is so much people that are needed that the major company that usually deal with RPA are not coming to serve tier 2 companies. Usually you will see the big 4 companies, the big implementer like IBM, Accenture, of course, the big 4, as I said, will work mainly with the big enterprise, mainly with companies like the big banks, the big insurance companies, and others. No, not enough resource to work in the small medium. I believe that the time for small medium implementers in the next year or the year after, unless some of them are mature enough to demand this kind of projects.
And are the universities not teaching this technology then?
I think that it started, let's say, I don't know exactly what is the situation now in the States. I checked it a few months ago when I was over there with friends of mine. But usually, because it's different technology, it's like professional learning. It's not something that you learn in the university. Usually, you will learn how to do coding, and then in the company, you will know how to learn to develop on this solution. This is what we are doing in Israel. This is what the big 4 are doing in the States. Usually if you have a good developers, it takes 1 to 3 months to train them.
Hey, Cisco, it's Derek. We just did this for a big financial firm. In setting up the Center of Excellence, we had to find an external group of developers for the first 6 months, get the projects set up and the environment built out. And then over that time period, we weren't able to hire India or US. So we had to grow organically with internal client-side developers who were groomed through a series of sets to ultimately courses and get up to speed. Part of the decision for which platform we chose, Automation Anywhere, UiPath, whatever, was the ease of use for these folks in terms of them being able to go from general coder to RPA coder, because we couldn't find them external.
Okay, gotcha.
So I think that the answer for your question is on this slide. How should we start?
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Do you see this slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So usually you have to build, and this is from my experience after did it with lots of companies. It's not business. It's not business solution. It's not IT solution. You have to build the business IT expert team. If you want that this process will success, it's not that the IT will run it by itself. It's not that the business will run it by itself. You have to choose the right processes. For the first 2-3 processes, you have to choose, I suggest, small processes that will run good and that will bring the energy to the company to build other processes as well. You have to implement a good first process that everyone in the company will say, this was a good one. And I'm not saying just on saving cost. A good one can be also, as I said, claims. The good one said that we did the claims and the client are very happy. It will not take them 14 days. It will take them 10 minutes. This does all around the country. And then you have to build Center of Excellence for RPA. I usually recommend it, and as Derek said, it took 6 months. Usually, I would say I wouldn't check it in months. I would say that the company should be mature in about 5 to 6 processes or robots. If you have 5 to 6 robots, then you have to build your Center of Excellence. In some companies, it might take 3 months, and in some companies, it might take a year. But if you haven't implemented 2 robots in a year, you will not use the Center of Excellence. You will have a Center of Excellence which will not operate. So my recommendation to build the Center of Excellence after you have, I think that the critical mass is 5 to 6 robots. And then you have to expand the operation. After you have the Center of Excellence, then you have to decide, and there are a lot of different solutions for this. Some companies build with the Center of Excellence, also implement it in people, and some companies said, our Center of Excellence will manage and maintain this, the robots. However, for every new robot, we'll take expert. The logic with this is that the solution UiPath, Cryon, Automation Anywhere, usually change every quarter. The technology is changing very fast. So if you have your people that you trained them 3 months ago and you are not training them every quarter, they will left behind. And the company that usually implement this, they are teaching one each other. So if a company, let's say a small, medium company will have a team of 3, 4, 5 people, usually an implementation company will have 20 to 50 people or more. We are not finding so much companies that have more than 50 people usually. Besides, as I said, the big 4 and the huge companies like IBM, Tata, etc. And they are mainly focused, as I said, in the Fortune 500. So for all, or for most the other companies, usually they will teach one each other. So they will be an expert, and they can teach your Center of Excellence about the new things. So how you pick the low-hanging fruit in every company, and this is for you when you're every one of you coming home to his company or when he's talking with his client, etc. First of all, usually you will try to check a process that has at least 5 FTEs. If I would be in India, I would say 500 because the cost of salary is different. And when you implement a process, then you want that the ROI will be short. So at least 5 people of FTE. Usually the cost of building a process is about 1 FTE, which means that if you have 1 FTE, then it's break even in the first year. I think that the company has so much opportunity. So if you check process that have 5 FTE, usually the ROI will be 300 to 400 people, 400%. You have to check a company that's seeking for ROI. There are lots of companies that maybe will say that they are seeking for ROI, but they are not seeking for ROI. We see it in the government sector mainly, but not just. If you have a company that has a huge or a very strong union, you will also find companies that are not seeking for ROI. And I'm not saying about what their CEO say in the newspaper. At the end of the day, when you want to implement the robots, you will find the union which will say, it's a good technology, not in our factory. You need to have an innovative manager, someone who is not afraid. I think that the RPA is not innovative. It's run for 3 years at least. But anyway, for most of the company, it looks like innovative. So if it's a company that it's not technology, innovative manager can help. And at the end of the day, another clue that there is a great potential is if the company has old IT systems. If the company has old IT system, usually everything that they will try or will ask for an improvement, it will be very hard to implement. And if it will be very hard to implement, no one will approve it. When you're doing a RPA project, you don't touch the IT system. And this is another low-hanging fruit. So if you have all of these four, then it's a great potential for RPA process. If you have some of them, check that how much it's relevant. And I wouldn't choose it as the first process for implementation. And now it's the time for question.
Well, I already asked my question, so I'm good.
Well, this is great, Shlomi. I know there's the video that could also kind of clarify and show people how the RPA works, but you did not want me to record that. So let's just first see if there are other questions, if anyone might have. And then I could stop the recording, and then maybe you'll show us, for the people that are on the session now, you could show us that video.
No problem.
Anything else from anyone?
I'm good.
All right.
Great stuff.
So, yeah, Shlomi, excellent overview. Thank you so much. I'm going to share this video with the rest of the members. Given that it's Thanksgiving coming up, many weren't able to make it. Hopefully they'll watch the video and enjoy it and reach out should they have any questions. So I'm going to stop the video right now so that you can show us some of the top secret stuff. All right.
It's not top secret. As you stop it.
Wait, hold on a second.